Well, we've added some additional capabilities to the shop here. Yesterday spent about 9-10 hours plus a couple trips to Lowe's gathering everything you see here, and also added an airline. So we'll just start off with the airline. Made a video back earlier this summer talking about this what is it, like an Air Max kit, something like that, with the blue airline here. And I routed it up and then ran it over and around, and then over there I put a drop in, and I just had a hose hanging on the wall over there. Well, I knew I was going to eventually add some more power, namely some 240 volt outlets. So yesterday, after we added those outlets, we went ahead and just ran it up over the ceiling, ran it over here to this hose reel. Got this hose reel on sale, I don't know, about a month ago. Half-inch hose reel seems to do pretty good. The line does have a couple small leaks in it that we know of, at least one on this cap right here. But this line will eventually go back to the lathes, back there to the closing lathe right there. It'll eventually run down the wall of the shop. So not too concerned about that. Now, power in this building, now getting into kind of the power project that we did. Power in this building comes in two different ways. There's this 60 amp panel that the previous owner put in. Frankly, it's kind of a hack job. It's not done properly, and there's really no way to upgrade it per se. So several years ago, I decided, well, if I'm going to run a bunch of higher horsepower equipment, I'm going to go ahead and install my own 200 amp panel. So this is its own service. There are two power lines coming into this building from the meter. One goes to that 60 amp panel right there. That's all the lights, everything that was here prior to us moving in. And then you have this 200 amp panel, which honestly at this point does not have a lot in it. It has the air compressor. So you have the 240 volt T30 Ingersoll air compressor. Then you have the sub panel we put in yesterday. That's a 90 amp sub panel, and I'll explain all of this. You have the VFD for the Bridgeport mill. You have some additional outlets down by the closing lathe. You have the auxiliary heater right here that I never use, but it is wired in just in case. And then you have the closing lathe VFD. So we still have lots of room. Chances are I will eventually add quite a few more outlets to this, but this panel was specifically for things like what I'm about to show you. What did we do yesterday? Yesterday we ran, well, the first thing we did was finally hooked up the we hardwired the mill in. I really like where the mill is at, so we hardwired the mill in, got that box there, did all the hardwiring and everything, so that looks 10 times better than it did. But then I knew I wanted to add a sub panel. So the reason I added this sub panel is I wanted a 240 volt outlet for a plasma cutter and a welder, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. At the same time, I do want to eventually add some type of chain garage door opener to this garage door right here. And I don't know the best way to do that. I'll probably have to do it on the other side because there's just not a lot of room up there to really add much. So that's another project for another day. So I'm not really sure when we're going to do that, but I also wanted some 20 amp outlets right by the door. So if I'm working outside, I can do that. So we actually have two 20 amp outlets. These are outlets I had. So this was a tamper resistant and this one's just a weather resistant since it's so close to the door. Basically these are just two 20 amp outlets. They're each on their own breaker. So that way, you can run whatever you want to off of them. No big deal. Right now, this right here is a 60 amp panel or 60 amp outlet. And this is a 30 amp outlet. They're both wired the same. This panel is fed by 6 gauge wire, which should go up to 75 amps, which will be the maximum allowable power that you would ever get out of the plasma cutter, which I'll show you here in just a second. The 30 amp outlet is for a welder, and this one is for the plasma cutter. Now, why did I want two individual 240 volt outlets? Well, I wanted two outlets that way in case I ever have a job where, you know, adding an extra outlet only cost me about 4 feet of wire, and, you know, basically adding an outlet was only like 40 bucks. So overall, pretty cheap in the future. That way I'm not unplugging, waiting for things to cool down and stuff like that. So that is the upgrades to the air and the electric. And here is the two pieces of equipment that this system was designed to run. So we have a thermodynamics Cutmaster 82. It's designed, it will do up to 1.25 inch plate, but it likes the maximum recommended is 3/4. And then you have a Millermatic 190 down there. I haven't even plugged in the Millermatic yet. I did get a couple of test cuts done with the Cutmaster last night, and I will have to say I am thoroughly impressed with this poor mower blade. We sliced it up a couple times, and I will have to say I'm thoroughly impressed. What we're going to do this morning is we're going to get everything, now that the sun's shining and it's almost 40 degrees outside, well, almost 40 degrees. What we're going to do is we are going to dice up a John Deere 318 fender pan. So that is the, or maybe it was 317, I can't remember. We're going to dice up a fender pan, and we're going to see how well it cuts through all of that metal. We did try to do a little bit larger piece last night, and I need some practice before I get into 1-inch steel, but I had some 1-inch steel and we practiced with it, but it made a few too many sparks for in the building. So we might get to that here in a little bit. So I'm going to get everything set up, and then we'll set the camera up outside, and we'll see how small we can condense a fender pan. All right, well, it's kind of windy out here, but we'll at least show you what it's capable of. I've practiced a little bit because I'm not very good with this thing yet, but I think I've got it set about right. But let's see how fast we can cut out a circle. I think that's pretty cool right there. I mean, that's just pretty awesome. Let's see if I can do this two-handed. I think this plasma cutter will be super handy. I had some ground problems here. I mean, literally, we can just I got a little bit more practice to do, but I think it will be extremely handy when we get done, or when I actually get halfway decent at it. Here, I'll go ahead and set up the mower blade just so you can see a little bit thicker material. So here's the mower blade. I mean, does just a fantastic job. If I get better, I think I could actually make a halfway clean cut. Let me see if I can steady my hand some and make a cleaner cut. Oh yeah, that's a lot cleaner right there. I'm just going to sit here and practice a little bit, but that's what we did yesterday. Finally actually give the T30 air compressor a workout. There's lots of different settings on this thing. I've read through the manual once already, but I've got the air pressure pretty low because I'm doing pretty thin material. But basically for stuff like this, I mean, I could probably turn it down to 40 and it would be just fine. for this little stuff. I just had it on 60 because I knew I was going to do the mower blade. But yeah, really happy with it. I'll keep practicing with it, and eventually we'll maybe do some projects with it. That's the ultimate goal. So I got to set up the Miller-Matic 190 next. I got a bottle of gas with it, but I don't know if anything's in it. So that's the next project. So, but actually next I got to clean up the shop so I can get the truck back into the shop, because it sat outside last night and it was, I got down to 9, and I prefer to get in a warm truck in the morning. So thanks for watching.